Number 1.
It was midnight. I had awoken to a parched feeling. I rose out of my bed and walked to the end of the hall. I was about to head downstairs into the kitchen when I suddenly heard a thud, followed by a whispering noise coming from behind me. The whispering seemed to be coming from the guest room across from my bedroom. Suddenly it stopped, and I decided it was just my mind playing tricks on me, like it often does. I headed down the creaky wooden steps and opened the kitchen door. It was dark in there. Not that it usually wasn't dark at midnight, but this was a weird darkness, surreal. I flicked the light switch, but the light just wouldn't turn on, so I walked into the darkness frantically searching for the cupboard handle. My hand finally gripped onto the handle and I pulled it open, and then I grabbed the glass. At that moment, I heard another large thud coming from upstairs. It startled me and I dropped my glass. I was scared by then. I rushed back into my room and hid beneath my covers. No matter how much I tried, I couldn't get back to sleep. Perhaps it was my first, or maybe the thought of leaving the glass scattered on the floor like that. No, I knew it was my fear of that noise. Out of nowhere, I heard that whispering again, this time sounding as if it was coming from right outside my bedroom door. I started to hyperventilate. I was never good in these sorts of situations. I guess that's the reason I never really got into watching horror movies. The whispering noise began to grow louder. I finally worked up the nerve and screamed, "Shut up!" The house grew silent, along with my breathing. I gathered my thoughts and uncovered myself. I felt as if I were in a daze as I headed towards the door. I opened it very slightly and took a good look into the hall. It was empty and quiet. I took a step outside of my room and took a better look around, and that's when I heard the thud again. It was coming from the guest room. I inhaled and exhaled a gust of air as I swung the door to the guest room open, and then I was met with a great horror. There was a man hung from the ceiling fan, swaying and occasionally hitting the wall. I backed out of the room and ran downstairs. I tried to open my front door when I suddenly heard the whispering noise again, and this time it was very clear. I tried to tell you not to enter the guest room.
Number 2.
After a long day of work, there was nothing that I wanted more than a nice, relaxing shower. Under the rivulets of water, I felt the stress and tension wash off me. I stepped out of the shower, silently cursing that it was laundry day and I had no clean towels to dry off with. It wasn't really a big deal. I would drip dry and make sure that I took everything to the laundry the next day. I walked around the bedroom, letting the cool night air circulate over my body, which caused my skin to prickle. It was cold outside, but I expected the house should have been a little warmer. I would have to call Annelies and see if there might be a problem with my heating. I didn't want to sit on anything for fear of soaking it, so I decided I would lay out my clothes for the next day. I stepped into my closet and pulled the cord to turn on the light bulb that hung from the ceiling. There was a brief flash before something was illuminated that I had not prepared for. A man, in one fist, he clenched an old-fashioned straight razor. In his other hand was a roll of electrical tape and a bag of salt. There was a twisted smile plastered across his face that made his intentions very clear. I wanted to scream, but fear paralyzed my throat. I didn't know what was scarier, the realization that I was in this situation, stark naked, or the fact that he was too.
Number 3.
A father is laying in bed after just waking up. He grabs his baby monitor and walks to his desk in his office at home. He has his baby on his baby monitor and hears his wife singing to her. He cracks a smile as he hears his wife, "Go to sleep, go to sleep," when suddenly the front door opens up and his wife comes in with groceries.
Number 4.
A young boy is sleeping in his bed on a usual night. He hears footsteps outside his door and peeks out of his eyes to see what is happening. His door swings open quietly to reveal a murderer carrying the corpses of his parents. After silently propping them upon a chair, he writes something on the wall in the blood of their dead bodies. Then he hides under the child's bed. The child is scared beyond belief. He can't read the writing on the wall, and he knows the man is under his bed. Like any child, he pretends that he slept through the whole thing and hasn't awoken yet. He lays still as the bodies of his parents quietly hearing the breaths from under his bed. An hour passes, and his eyes are adjusting more and more to the darkness. He tries to make out the words, but it's a struggle. He gasps when he finally makes out the sentence, "I know you are awake." He feels something shift underneath his bed.
Number 5.
Mommy told me never to go in the basement, but I wanted to see what was making that noise. It kind of sounded like a puppy, and I wanted to see the puppy. So I opened the basement door and tiptoed down a bit. I didn't see a puppy, and then Mommy yanked me out of the basement and yelled at me. Mommy had never yelled at me before, and it made me sad and I cried. Then Mommy told me to go never inside the basement again, and she gave me a cookie. That made me feel better. So I didn't ask her why the boy in the basement was making noises like a puppy, or why he had no hands or feet.